Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the CryptoNews podcast. We're buzzing as always. And today we have Haseeb Awan on the show. He is the CEO and founder of Efani Secure Mobile. Efani works with ultra high net worth individuals on their mobile security and guarantees protection against SIM swapping, eavesdropping, and location tracking. Haseeb is a telecom engineer and Y-Combinator alumni. Previously, he co-founded one of the largest Bitcoin ATM networks called Access. He's also been featured on the New York Times, Techcrunch, Wall Street Journal, Hulu, and several international media outlets. Without further ado, I am very pleased to welcome Haseeb Awan to the CryptoNews podcast. Haseeb, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Matt, for having me on the show.
Haseeb, pumped to have you on, brother. You spent some time in Canada yourself. You and I were shooting the shit about that beforehand. Present day, you are in beautiful, sunny, tax-free Puerto Rico. Perhaps I just gave it away, but my friend, why the move from beautiful Toronto down to San Juan, Puerto Rico?
So I moved here from California. So it's a bit of the reason why I moved to California is purely because of weather. We would not have to. We don't have to talk more about why weather of California is better than weather in Toronto. Otherwise, Toronto is a lovely city. I miss Toronto, but just the weather, I couldn't take it anymore. And also, I work in tech, so California is the obvious place for me to live. And why Puerto Rico? Been in crypto for a long time. I wanted to change. We had COVID for the past 2 years. So I said, okay, let me just make a change. Everyone is going remote. So I said, why don't try Puerto Rico? I came here, fell in love with the place, and just made the switch.
I love that. I know we said we wouldn't beat that weather horse to death here, but my goodness, it's I'm as coming from someone who's in Toronto right now, this time of year, every day it just gets a little worse and a little worse, and it is so not fun once early November rolls around, literally for the next 6 months. People are depressed. The sun is non-existent. The wind tunnels are absurd. Frostbite is apparent. It is no bueno, no bueno, no bueno. But again, that is it for the weather. You have a very interesting background, Haseeb. You were a Y-Combinator alum, which we will get into very shortly. But I want to get right into the bread and butter of the show, and that is Efani. When I was doing research for the show, and shout out Kumar, who helped hook this up as well. However, Efani does something that not a lot of people are fully aware of and its importance. When I first heard about this from Kumar and when I started watching your YouTube videos and started reading your articles, I was very baffled in regards to SIM swapping, eavesdropping, location tracking, how absurd and how bad it really is, and how clueless myself and 99% of the population are. Can you just give me a quick elevator pitch on what you guys do and the big problem that you're trying to solve?
I'll just make it simple, right? Like our cell phones are now 99%. Like all of our identities are linked to telephone number. Wherever you go, you say, hey, can I have your telephone number? And that's how they'll pull up your account. The challenge with that is it's a number, so it's an identity, like social security number or SIN in Canada. Give it to every person in the world. And the challenge that we face right now is that those numbers can be hackable. So easiest word, someone walks into AT&T store or Rogers store in Canada and they say, I am Haseeb or I'm Matt and I lost my phone. Can you transfer the SIM? And the person says, yeah, I'll help you out. And without taking a lot of security question, he'll just transfer the number to someone else. The hacker just use that to get into your account because you'll do a password reset, get in your account, drains your finances, steal all your information, and boom, now he blackmails you. So that's pretty much what happens in cell phones all the time. How bad it is, people lose their entire money, entire life savings, their entire, their assets in this hacks. How often does that happen? It's not an attack that happens every day to everyone, but the shocking stats are if it has to happen, and if someone wants to come after Matt, there's an 80% chance they'll be successful. And this was an independent report where they did research on multiple carriers, and 80% of times they were able to hack someone. So it's like you don't get shot every day, but if you get shot in the head, what is the chances of survival? And now does everyone get shot in the day? I don't know. I don't think so, right? But the point is,
We protect ultra high net worth individuals and important people like C-level executives. And the reason why we say that is because we are not for everyone. Like we are only for the top 1%, because not just they're able to afford it, but also we are able to serve them better. It's like a first class in a plane, or like having a bulletproof car. Now everyone wants it, but not everyone can afford or can be protected through that.
So it's really just that extra layer of security for the 1%. And that layer of security specializes and relates to their mobile device, whether it's SIM swapping, location tracking, or eavesdropping, any of those big three.
That's correct. There are other attacks too, but these are the main three attacks that happens on your cell phone.
You must have some crazy stories. On the Crypto News pod, we love stories. It's Storytime City, Population Us. We absolutely love that shit. Haseeb, you got to give me a couple good stories about potential hacks that have happened. You don't have to name drop. If you can name drop, it's frowned upon. We'd love it even more, but give us some good stories about crazy high net worth individuals' phones being hacked.
Obviously, I can't take the name for a lot of people, but I'll tell you one guy, like Charlie Shrimp, right? Charlie Shrimp, if you guys know, he was the founder of BitInstant, and also started the Bitcoin Foundation. So he got hacked last, I think 2-3 years ago around midnight. And he called me like maybe 3 a.m. or 2 a.m., some crazy time, very super late night. He said, man, I got hacked. What can I do? And that's how technically our company started. The company was already there, but I said, can you allow me to hack into your account again? So what I did was I actually hacked into his account, and I was able to get it back from his hacker. So that was one of the most interesting parts that happened with the industry, because I was able to take it back. The most other interesting part was, which is not similar linked to cell phones, but because I'm in the industry, I do get feedbacks, and we keep an eye on how the attack vector is changing. So one day I got a text message from someone that I have contact, and he says, Twitter is going to be fun today. It's like, what does he mean? I thought there would be some accounts that get hacked. Like, that's pretty common. And that was the day almost like 2 years ago when, if you remember, President Biden account got hacked. Like Coinbase CEO, like Binance CEOs, like, everyone's account get hacked.
And this guy gave you a heads up. He knew that this was going to go down.
And I tweeted about it, and Twitter blocked my account.
Wow.
So I gave a heads up that this is going down, and they blocked my account, and still those tweets got removed, right? And I said, okay, man, this is stupid. Like, what's happening? Anyways, long story short, this happened. They made there's a documentary on Hulu about it. It's a big article, because also created a mistrust against, like, can anyone get into president's account and look at his private information? And because a lot of social media and like phones that we use are not designed for special people. I'll give you a simple example. Like, if you have to go into your AT&T store, and if president phone, they essentially use the same systems, and that becomes a very big vulnerability. Like, if you're using Facebook Messenger, now any high-profile individual and an ordinary person have the same, kind of a security, and that puts you in a very high risk profile, because political people use it, celebrities use it, and there could be potential confidential or national security breach that can happen through these messages.
As an average Joe like myself, and someone who's not in the 1%, what could we do? Just very basic, low level, low hanging fruit tips to sort of revamp and level up in our mobile security.
Yeah, so Matt, if you look at the security, it's like pretty simple to do, right? A lot of people get into rabbit hole of finding the best solution, but you can frankly go with every solution to begin with and then level up from them. So I'll give you a simple example. Like, use a password manager. Literally, you can look into maybe Google for 30, 40, top 5 password. They're all the same, if someone asks for recommendation, I'll recommend Keeper Security. They're fairly good, and that's what it is, right? Go for it, use it. I think it's like $10 per year or something, super cheap. I don't know, like $50. I don't know actually, to be honest, but simple product, right? Now use a hardware key, and if you use Google, they have something called advanced protection, where you can connect your hardware key to that too.
which means that, so add that, these are two things that you can do. Password manager and 2FA as a hardware key. Super simple. Use apps. If you can't afford it, use apps like Authy, Google Authenticator. There are multiple apps that you can use, which will basically give you the same level of security as well. So the point being is that these couple of things, like I'm not saying like you should using like, ultra modern Efani, but still, if you like, our plans are not super crazy expensive, but you can add that too. But if you still cannot afford it, then you should just get a second number that no one knows, and you just use it for 2FA.
Right.
And like keep your number, 2FA number and those number separately. It's not a good practice, as in because you always forget about which number to give, which number not to give. But that's one of the things that you can do. And again, use hardware keys and password managers. These two will basically save you from 99% of the attacks.
And if I wanted to use Efani, what does Efani do that a password manager, hardware keys, 2FA, getting a second phone, what does Efani do that those do not?
So you should use a password manager and hardware key regardless if you use Efani or not, because these are two different attack vectors. Efani is like, we are like a firewall version of AT&T. Like with the challenge is like every time there's an AT&T store or like any store, their employees can access your accounts. And now not every account employees like, are very good, can be a bad person, right? And what they do is they take bribes and they will be able to get into your account and transfer your information and modify your account. In a Efani case, we make sure that doesn't happen. And not just that, like if your regular account get breached, you may email Verizon and they say, "Oh, I'm so sorry for the inconvenience. You lost your entire money. You lost your bank account. Oh, I'm so sorry for any inconvenience caused. Dude, I lost my entire life saving." You're saying, "I'm so sorry for any inconvenience caused," right? And, and that's what happened to me 4 times, where they kept an apology email, like, dude, like, again, like, this is my life, right? It's like you murdered someone. I'm apologize for killing you, right? Or the car, like think about your car does not brake and you get a letter, "Oh, I'm so sorry, the brakes didn't work," right? We say that not just for our solution works perfectly. If something goes wrong, we cover up to $500 insurance. You lose your money or have any kind of losses, we cover up to $500. That's the difference between our product and a traditional product. Now, obviously, we don't have a lot of features that other companies, they offer Netflix, they offer Hulu, they offer devices. We don't do that. We just offer you one thing, that's security.
Now, to my knowledge, Haseeb, a lot of the security comes from sort of the decentralized wireless aspect of Efani. Now, I love when guests coin terms, and you and the team have sort of coined a new term called the DeWi. Instead of DeFi, swap the W with an F, or swap the F with a W, and you have DeWi, DEWI. Got a new trendy term. And you had a tweet on this a couple days ago about sort of distributed versus decentralized wireless systems, whereas decentralized means that the network can operate without any single entity / node, like Bitcoin. You gave a great example. Bitcoin mining will continue as long as there is one miner running, where in decentralized sort of wireless, every radio reports to a single core server. And if that core is gone, the network goes down, it's over. How can we create some type of new decentralized wireless system to allow maximal security for people around the planet?
Yeah, the challenge with the matter is that, we live in a society where everything is digital. And that gives a lot of power to single entities like Facebook, Twitter, and all those companies. Like my wish is that people should be able to host their own towers and people should be able to build their own coverages. And I'm a huge fan of, people should own their own data. Like, why should Efani have access to your data? Why should Efani even exist in the first place, to be honest? Why shouldn't that Matt should be able to build our own setup and system? The challenge with that is not everyone can be may spend as much time as Matt does. And not just that, they may not be able to have the same intellectual capital to deploy their systems. So people like Matt can deploy for other people and give them the same level of security. The challenge that I face is like in San Juan is that we had a power failure maybe like 3 weeks ago. So I don't know, we had a hurricane for one day, and the next thing you know, is power is gone for like almost 2 weeks. There's some areas in Puerto Rico where there's no still power. Last time it happened, it was gone for 6 months. And so there's like, disaster that happen and people don't have cell phone coverage. You go to like Coachella or like Burning Man or a lot of areas, there's no coverage. So what my wish is that people should be educated to build their own networks. The challenge that is, it's very complex system to build. And with my thinking is like, in crypto, I'm a huge fan of Web 3.0, but the challenge is that 95% projects are Ponzi's, and the 5% other people just lie about it. Like if you ask someone,
Right.
oh, this project is a Ponzi, they'll say, oh yeah, this is Ponzi. Because technically there's a very famous thing in crypto that shitcoin, right? And I came up with a very simple definition of shitcoin. Whatever I own is basically going to change the world, and whatever you own is shitcoin, right? So technically, whatever my bags are, they are the best thing in the world, and whatever I don't own, regardless of whatever coin it is. We are maximalist and everything. And the challenge with all the crypto and DeFi is that people have ambitious goals without any kind of understanding of how the system works. Now, I prefer ambitions. I love ambitions. But at the same time, I can't say, hey, Matt, I have a car that will run on water, a decentralized gas pump, right? Now, it's ambitious, right? It's really cool, but it's not practical because cars have some thermodynamics rules that you have to follow, and that's how the car runs. Just putting a car on a blockchain does not make that a little more efficient, because there's not a single evidence of any system that's more efficient than a centralized system, because decentralized system would always be slower. That's how. And now we lead to a distribution system. Distribution system is a much better, which is like AWS have servers all across America. So if I'm in San Juan, I'll be connected to server that's closer to me, rather than rather content delivery management systems. I don't want to go into that in detail. But ideally, we should have the ability to own our own data. That's the premise. And the challenge that I hate about, I dislike about the industry is like, people, if you talk sense about them, they will dismiss it because it's not a Ponzi. But if I say, man, you built a system, you set up something in your house, and then it will just change the world. Like, you'll make $10,000 per month. People do not realize that, where's the money's coming from? Like, what's the fundamental I'm changing in this industry right now? And that basically was a threat about it, because people are buying hardwares, a lot of hardwares, and they will end up in dumps. Again, I personally believe that this is how it should work, but everyone's trying to be a supplier. So everyone is building for someone else. So Matt will say, I built it and Haseeb should use it. Haseeb is building because Matt should use it, Haseeb should, but I don't want to move myself. It's like I still go to Chase Bank for my own use, but I want to build a bank for Matt to use because banks are criminal, evil. If I have to change the world, I have to be my own customer first.
Good point.
It's not that I built everything for I use Dropbox, but I want people to use Filecoin that I'm hosting.
Right.
Unless I am not my like in Efani, I'm my own client. I was the client number one, and we all use Efani in our work. Right? Everyone has to have this phone, because if we don't use that, we will not understand the pain points around the product. So in DeWi world, decentralized world, there are like dozens of projects, and we have different wrong KPIs. Again, it's not about bashing the product. The KPI is how many people are installing the nodes right now. And yes, as long as you pay people will do stuff. You ask people to put a random t-shirt, they'll put a random t-shirt as long as they're getting paid for it. It doesn't mean the product is flying out. So to summarize, the product has to be better, because I personally do not believe that people will switch to a different product because it's a privacy-focused product. And privacy is a very hard sell.
It's not sexy. It's not sexy. Until you, Haseeb, you said it within the first 5 minutes. Until you get hacked yourself, you don't understand the importance of it. And most people haven't been hacked, or they haven't. They don't have enough assets for them to give a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also everything comes down to simplicity, right? Is the product better or not? People switch to internet because email was better, simple, cheaper, right?
Right.
And privacy is a very difficult sell. It's like made in America. I say this example all the time. Everyone wants made in America until as long as cheaper than made in China. So the moment it becomes expensive than made in China, people go for, it's like, people should buy made in US, but it has to be cheaper than made in China. It's not possible.
Yeah.
Same with the privacy. I want it not to track me, but to tell me where should I go. Now, if it doesn't track you, it will not tell you where to go, and all those products that are built. And with telecom, our privacy is taken away. Like in Canada, I believe that during COVID time, 97% of the phones were tracked or something because they're tracking locations of every person where they're meeting for COVID reasons. And a lot of these things come up with, it's a good thing. Let's track the hell out of it, right? Let's track where Matt goes, where does he meet. But that's what the example of surveillance is, right? And there's a common myth of, people should if I'm not doing anything wrong, why should I be worried about tracking? It's a taboo if I talk about privacy, because if Haseeb is asking about privacy, it means Haseeb is doing so. But, you don't want a camera in your living room all the time, someone watching over it, So privacy means that you should be able to do stuff without being judged by anyone, and all those things. So again, decentralization is a dream, but the way we are approaching is purely from Ponzi-nomics point of view. And the product with the biggest Ponzi-nomics are winning, and that hurts the space in long run.
How can you incentivize consumers to try to build this, distributed and decentralized secure mobile network? Because right now, again, you have, just like you talked about, you have AT&T and then Rogers up in Canada, and insert whatever blue chip telecom provider name around the world who's giving you really good, perhaps not prices, but a shitload of data, unlimited data. You get your mobile number, you get cheaper iPhones, you get discounts on Netflix, Hulu, whatever. Like it is a decent package at the end of the day. The service is absolute dog shit. Don't get me wrong. The service, I mean the customer support, but otherwise it's a pretty darn good product and service in my opinion. So how do you incentivize the users to take on something new? I feel like that's the question at the end of the day.
I think that's a question about entire internet, right? It's a question regarding why we have PayPal? Why do we need a stable coin to begin with? Like I can send like Zelle in the Canada, Interact in Canada, Zelle in the US, right? Why do I need to switch to a stable coin which has this much thing? The challenge with all of this is a very long debate about like how crypto can, and we can talk about, because I had experience of Bitcoin ATMs too, so we can talk about why they're better than other systems. And because crypto came up with a promise of lower fees, decentralization, and immutability, transaction cannot be reversed. And now we're talking about stable coins that can be blocked, and tornado happens. Again, this is all about like philosophical thing, because is the crypto experience better or not? And I just say a simple example. If you're not paid to use a product, you're not a user. You're just an employee of the product. Actually, I should tweet about it, right? So
That's true.
A lot of crypto projects, you're using them because you're getting paid to use them, right?
Yeah.
That's why people use it. And so they will do like there was a shoe company that will pay you to run. It's a good incentive, but technically you should run because it's good for health, not because someone is paying you for that.
Yeah.
If someone is paying you, you are not a user, you are just paying the employee who's running around. And that's about it. Now, some sucker will basically buy the token. But ultimately, if we have to make a better service, what should be the angle? And I think privacy is, that's why we don't sell data. Efani does not sell data, but we don't advertise privacy at all as our value proposition, because people do not care about privacy. It's one of those cool things that people talk about, but people don't want to pay for it.
Exactly.
Like Google will track you, and still they have 97, 98% share, right? And there are been like a dozen, like maybe if not more, competitor of Google who say they don't track you, but no one uses them because the product experience is not bad. Now, ideally, Google should have a product that doesn't track you, but would it have the same experience or not? So ultimately, a better experience will win. So for crypto to move forward, we have to have a better experience. Otherwise, we will be playing a Ponzi schemes here and there, and there will be like another cycle in like 2 years, and Bitcoin will go to maybe 100K or something. and then we'll crash because there'll be another Ponzi-nomics going on. Because human greed is constant. It existed like 1,000 years ago. It will exist 1,000 years from now. People will be greedy, and they would like to make quick money. Yeah,
fear and greed makes the world go round, baby.
Right. The only thing why Efani has been moderately successful is because people lose money if they have a regular cell phone service. But I don't think so. Like even 1% people switch to Efani because we are a privacy-focused company. They love to talk about it, but they would like to use Google product.
100%.
Because as you said, it's a done product. It's a good product.
I'm well aware of all the terrible things my iPhone does.
Yeah.
But it's incredible. I love this thing.
Yeah.
You know what? Like same as my Mac. It's just how it works. The product is so good. The service is so good. Do I care that it tracks my every move? A little bit, but like, what am I going to do about it? It's just the way she goes. It's, it is what it is. It's such a cliche bullshit term, but it is what it is. What am I going to do about it? Am I going to use a dog shit piece of hardware and piece of software that's slower, not as quick, doesn't have everything I want memorized? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let it track my every move so I can get the best experience possible.
It's the same thing. Like if you go on Highway 401, right? I think it's like 100 kilometer, right? Speed that you can go on. So the challenge is, okay, what's the other option? So I believe this will become part of the engraved in the system that we are being tracked, and this will become a normal system, which I don't disagree with a lot. Like, again, I am privacy focused, but I'm not like, okay, I just think that whenever you're digital, there'll be some level of privacy you'll be giving up, right? Because that is somewhere. Because how can you think that someone can give you something for free without tracking you? It's like going to a restaurant and bringing your own food. Like you walk into like Chateau Laurier and you say, man, I'll bring food from McDonald's. I'll eat for free here, right?
Always something. No such thing as a free lunch.
Yeah. So either they will make money by selling you, where they will track how does Matt eat, right? How long time, or they make money by selling you food, So to basically, if you cover up entirely system in crypto, we have to go beyond Ponzi-nomics, and we have to find a better experience, right? Like, is it faster? Is it we have been selling this notion of, it's cheaper, it's expensive to do money transfer across the world. It's not. I transfer money across the world all the time. It's super, super cheap. You don't go to Chase Bank or you don't go to RBC for that, but their third-party service will do a very good job. So we have to move that past that. And, there are better products getting built. I think we can build like an API for financial systems. But ultimately, as long as people start keeping their bank accounts in Chase and RBC, this thing is not going away.
Yeah.
Can they trust what happened with the current drop in whatever happened? And people say, I wish your government will step in and give us the money back. But you were the first who said that government should not intervene.
Yeah.
Now that you lost the money, you want it to be gone.
You can't be half pregnant.
You can't be half pregnant. So ultimately, what I'm saying is that better product will win. And can we build a better product using privacy as a focus? Like better experience, right? It's very easy to do it in physical world. Like you go to like a condo and physical, right? You have your own space and everything. How do we recreate that in digital world where you get a better search terms? I don't know, whatever it is. But again, companies have to make money somehow. And if you're not paying for it, you're the product. But people are used to that, right? But we're not used to like walking into some restaurant and bringing your own food because it's not how the world works. So behavior have to be changed. And again, product experience has been improved. Frankly, at Efani, we were unable to find a good use case for privacy in a way that people will search for it. Again, it's very hard to do. So we said we'll keep it, we'll not sell the data because that's part of value. But at the same time, we just focus on one thing, that's security. And I think if you ask for a free iPhone and you have a booth where people have to give their DNA against iPhone 14, I think 95% of people will opt for it.
Yeah, they would.
And they say, take my DNA and give me a free iPhone.
Here's my hair, here's my skin, here's my pee, here's my semen. Look, Haseeb, we got to take a quick break, give a massive shout out to our sponsor of the show, that is Prime XBT. I love Prime XBT. Been using them for a hot minute as they offer a robust trading system for both beginners and professional traders. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a vet, you can easily design and customize your layouts and widgets to best fit your trading style. Prime XBT is also running an exclusive promo for listeners of the pod. Use the promo code CryptoNews50, that is CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Again, that is CryptoNews50 to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Now back to the show with Haseeb. Haseeb, you are a trendsetter. You've spotted many of them. I would love to take a step back in the time machine. Let's zip it back 5-6 years back to 2017. I believe it was 2017. You and I believe it was Moadam founded BitAccess, one of the largest networks of Bitcoin ATMs in the world. First, I have a couple questions in regards to this. First, I want you to talk about why you fell in love with Bitcoin and why the need to create Bitcoin ATMs. And in case I forget, I'd love to ask you about lessons learned from building that company. You guys had an incredible growth metric. It was very hockey sticky. And I'd love to ask you about some of the lessons you learned from that. But to begin, talk to me about your time creating BitAccess and why, you had a hard on per se for Bitcoin.
Yeah, it was 2013 actually that we founded the company. And the reason for that was it was very hard to find. Wow. And we went to Y-Combinator, so built what people want. People wanted to buy Bitcoin. It was just easy for them to go to a machine and buy it, right? Right now, you can connect your bank account and you can have a lot of exchanges. At that time, the exchanges were like BTC and Mt. Gox. These were literally two exchanges at that time, which were famous. I know, I think in Canada, there was actually Canadian one Bitcoin. There was only one exchange, and people were sending envelopes of money to exchanges to deposit money. They will go to a mailbox and literally take like $1,000, $10,000, put in an envelope, wrap it up, and just ship it to exchange. Right. So that used to happen. So we said, why don't we keep a simple machine for that? And it's pretty simple. So we were for 4 co-founders. And one of the co-founders was actually building a kiosk. So he used to have a kiosk where you can buy stuff like regular traditional, you want to buy coffee or something, you can just scan and just go. So this is a good, easy way for us to do that. Mo said that I can build wallets and hardware integrations. And we had another co-founder called Vignesh Sundaresan, which the world now knows as Metacoin. And then Ryan. And then so we said, okay, why don't we? And he was running an exchange at that time. We said, okay, we combine all of this. And I'm pretty good in commercialization. And I said, okay, I'll be able to sell it. And our first customer was Anthony Diorio. And he says, why don't you, he took a train, he bought the machine. We launched on 1st of January. And around that time I met with, he says, we had some networking issues. So he said, I have a friend who can actually help you out. And that's how I met Vitalik. So Vitalik was able to help us out with the networking and everything. He said, working on this project called Ethereum, and, and he told about smart contract. And then I flew to Miami. They were having a house in Miami, where Bitcoin machine, Charles from Ada, Consensus, Joseph, Charlie Lee, who other guys were there? Polkadot, I think Gavin, Polkadot guy, forgot his name. I think it's Gavin, right?
So literally the founding fathers of crypto were all in.
We are all in the same house.
Crazy.
Right. So we were all in the same house. We spent like a week there. Ethereum was announced. And then we got back, got into YC. And our group partners were Gary Tan and Justin Can. Justin Can pushed Twitch for $1 billion around that time. Right. So think about how life is changing, right? So everything came along, and so my life just, again, I can do I just gave you 60 seconds, but there was so much learned. What I've learned in the industry is that you have to stay focused and solve a single problem. Efani, I'll give you an example. In crypto, we use Bitcoin. We allow you to buy and sell Bitcoin within 60 seconds. Simple proposition. Efani, we are a secure mobile service. That's all we do. We don't, it's not we use AI to and machine learning to interrupt your data and do this and do this. No, simple is difficult.
That, Haseeb, sorry to interrupt you. That sounds very Paul Graham-esque. That sounds so Y-Combinator, that quote you just said, staying focused and solving a simple problem. It seems like every company that comes out of YC literally has like a one-line pitch that's just like, boom.
But it's very difficult to do that, right? Like, I think I read somewhere that I didn't have time to write out your long letter.
Wow. You're just a quote machine today. I love it.
I don't know. Like, I just think that these are things. So YC is like very good in like, making things simple. And like, despite like, we come with one price. We don't offer any discounts or something. Like maybe like a little bit, but you don't have like, Black Friday or you don't get this thing. Just keep it simple. Buy one product for one customer they want and offer one thing. And be very good at it. It's like Monopoly. If you read the book of 0 to 1, really good book by Peter Thiel, which I had a chance to take in person. So I was able to get in person from him. And those things changed my life, right? Like I personally, if you ask me, I was born in Pakistan, moved to Canada. I just graduated from school at that time, went to RVU, and it changed my life in a way that how many times, like, your life basically will take, it's like a movie, how things changed.
Yeah.
And now I look at all those things and how the world evolved around us. A lot of companies got acquired, some went public, and we all started together. Like we got acquired as well. So it's, you learn about that. Focus is the king. And if you stay in the industry for long enough, in a specific industry and do really good stuff, you get rewarded. Money is just a byproduct. And luckily, like I said, with crypto, like, I learned a lot, like cell phone security, I learned a lot. And every day you're learning, but staying focused is super, super, super critical.
It's a really good point there. Any other really good one-liners for me, Haseeb, regarding YC or just things you've learned sort of that founders can really take and distill down?
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing, Matt, about personally, like, I said I came from Pakistan, right? There's a lot of immigrants who come to US and Canada. They normally end up in like Tom Hortons or like driving like 7-Elevens, right?
Yeah.
And that was a typical job track. You get there and you try to work for IBM or like, Cisco, or that's like a job. That's the career path that we normally are asked to do. So always you think like, who are the people who actually build companies, right? That's a very different question, because who are the people who go to Stanford? Like, like what breed of people will study at Harvard? Like what do you need to do to get there? What I've learned is they're all ordinary people with very good habits. It's like you walk into a gym and you see someone very well toned, very good shape, and you're out of shape. And you say, man, what does this person has to do to get to shape?
Consistency, baby.
Consistency. Yeah. And I see this thing, if I go to a gym and I spend like 10 hours, single day,
doesn't matter.
I have to do 1 hour per day for 10 days. And that was what's showing up every day, even though there's no audience. It's like Twitter accounts. A lot of people have built a really good Twitter audience and they keep on tweeting. Like, look at like, people, right? If you look at his first video, I think it had like 1,000 views or something. I don't know, like really less views. Yeah. But it's like SEO. The life is like an SEO. Yeah. You have to produce content. You have to do stuff every day. And I think that's with the life too, right? You have to be a better version of yourself every day. And as long as it's not easy to do so, because we're always changing like 10% per month, 100x, we're always changing that. And I think there was another quote that I read somewhere that people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but they underestimate what they can do in 10 years.
Yeah, another great one.
Just stay consistent, and frankly, life will be easy, and that's all, I think.
When you were at YC, did you incorporate the famous, what did you do this week sort of report card that every founder had to fill out? And on top of that, how did we scale 7% this week? And a follow-up to that, do you know why 7% was the number? I've always been intrigued by that.
So 7% basically, it's a rule of 12, right? So, or a rule of 7%. So if you do 7% per week, you basically, it's like not just week, you effectively double your growth within 3 months.
Gotcha.
So if you grow 7% per month, you grow, in 12 months, it compounds to like 100% growth. So I see 3 months. So effectively, if you have like 100 users by end of the 3 months, you should have like 200 users.
Gotcha.
So 7% is what's that easier. If you want to say that, whatever your target is, just divide by percentage, and whatever, like if you say I'm going 5%, just divide like 100 by 5, and it will take 20 months for you to get to wherever you are, double it.
Right.
So that's the rule behind 7%. But also it's a good metrics too. Like we grow slightly lower than that right now, but we focus on month over month because not easy to sustain 5%, 7% month over week over week for even 6 months.
100%.
You know,
it's very early stage startup.
But YC is basically, okay, can you do that or not? And it gives you a bit of a self-belief in you because now that we run a company which is like multi, $1 billion, it's very difficult to envision that someday some people will be paying you millions of dollars to use a product that you're thinking about today.
That is crazy.
Like I remember in YC we have something called YC camps. It doesn't happen anymore, but we have a different format. But we go for camping for 3 days without cell phone and everything, and pretty much every founder show up of that. And they're like 1,000 founders, and you see like Brian Armstrong, someone corner, like Patrick from Stripe on other corner. You're playing together, and you get a chance to learn about it. And that's where when you're on a dining table, and you say, okay, man, these people are eating the same food I'm eating.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't done anything crazy. Like you sit down with them and you say, okay, man, it's not like they have a genius kind of a mind where they will read everything and within few minutes they will remember everything.
This is a normal person.
It's a normal person, but focused and like establishing a couple of rules. And I think that gives you a better perspective about how life works. And it's all about how you look at life, just be consistent. Again, this is a simple thing to say. A lot of people have regulation on first of like January. But we are like literally like 80 days from this year. So why don't we do that right now and make this our first and see what we achieve in the next 3 months.
I love that.
In my personal life, like I just think about like, I don't think so I'm like super successful. I'm okay, but at the same time, we could have done much better. And never over-optimize in my life. A lot of time we try to like push the top and bottom in trading as well. And it's okay, just have enter and just make money and just leave.
I love that.
And the people who win are the one who leaves the poker table. As long as your poker table, you're still in the game.
Yeah. Haseeb, what an episode, man. You brought the noise. I really appreciate you. We do have to wrap up here, but man, incredible. Love the advice. Love the takes on mobile security. Very pumped to see what you and the team at Efani have in store for the future. Until next time, and you will definitely be on for round 2. I can't wait for that to happen, hopefully in person. But until next time, can you please let our listeners know where they can find you and Efani online and on socials?
Sure. Our username is pretty simple. Efani, EFANI. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. So YouTube, same Efani. If you type Secure Mobile Service, you'll find us like number 1, number 2, or efani.com. For your listeners, we actually have a tool that I'll send you a link to where they can put their telephone number and it will tell their telephone number score to them for free. So it's like a credit score, but for telephone number, where we basically will tell you how easy it is to hack your phone and can you be able to do that.
Love that. Great. Haseeb, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to round 2.
Thank you, Matt, for having me on the show. And again, if your viewers want to check their score.
Amazing. Folks, what an episode with Haseeb Awan, founder of Efani, dropping absolute knowledge bombs. We love to see it. Tons of advice for founders, some great stories with Vitalik and some of the other founding fathers of crypto back in the day. Credit score for telephone numbers and some security best practices. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please do subscribe. It would mean the world to my team and I. To the team, love you guys. Appreciate you. Eustace, you are the best. Appreciate you, man. And to the listeners, love you guys. Keep on growing those bags and keep on staying healthy, wealthy, and happy. Bye for now, and we'll talk soon.